Florina, a shocker, very short, did not get into all the areas that he kind of anticipated he was going to do. But I'll tell you, I was saying this to Wayne before, that this may be kind of, it shows that he's sophisticated enough to make a nuance here. I think he's arguing the law. Let's talk about what he didn't, Florina, talk about. He didn't say, I wasn't the driver, which was the game he was playing with the police officers. What he was saying was that it wasn't planned, it wasn't intentional, and it wasn't premeditated. Florina, is he trying to get out of the highest charge and drop the charge down to something like maybe recklessness, which have a significant reduction in what the sentence could be? Thoughts?
I thought it was somewhat sympathetic, sophisticated, and much better than what I was expecting from this pro se defendant who frankly has been a train wreck throughout this entire trial. He exhibited significant restraint, focused on really what should be addressed in this statement, and the emotion made him seem somewhat remorseful. He's got this Bible sitting in front of him. I thought it was as good a job as he possibly could have done for what he needed to accomplish here.
Okay, Wayne, let's go to it, because this is something that used to concern me in the murder cases that I had when they involved the vehicle, especially. Under the law, and I'm giving basics here, it's got to be done with malice, aforethought, with an intent to kill. Deliberation can only be in a split second. It doesn't have to be for a long period of time. When he tied that into his statement where he's like, people were injured, are we expecting to hear, look, I was fleeing from something, or I was taking off, I didn't know that I was injuring people, I didn't want to injure anyone, I didn't want to hurt anyone, my acts may have been completely reckless, but it wasn't to the level where this was a premeditated attempt like we see in typical cases where I am going to kill you, pull out a gun, and you shoot somebody. This was more reckless than it was intentional. Your thoughts?
The only place that felt like a standard opening statement was when he said the evidence will show. And the one portion of that opening statement where he said the evidence would show something is he said that there was no premeditation and there was no intent to do this. So I think you've hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what he's trying to do. He's trying to get out of the most serious charges, and quite frankly recited what he believed to be evidence relative to lack of intent.
Yeah, Florina, extraordinary, because this is a nuanced and sophisticated argument that a defense lawyer would in fact make for a client, as opposed to don't try to shoot for I wasn't the driver, try to get that conduct down to recklessness, because if you could, the government has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt it was his intent. Now, it could be obvious that somebody would know those things would result, but was it premeditated? And secondly, Florina, if you want to talk about this very quickly, what about felony murder, if it exists in this case? Because that's usually the prosecutor's ace card, that even if you didn't intend to do it, if you're committing a felony and somebody dies during the course of that felony, you're just as responsible. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, they have a strong case here. The prosecution has a very strong felony murder position here, and it's not a whodunit either. So an unsophisticated defendant, especially Darrell here, who's representing himself, could very easily fall into the trap of it wasn't me, they can't prove it was me, I wasn't the driver. But surprisingly, he's not doing that, and he's making a nuanced argument, starting with his opening statement, going into mental state, which is good.
Yeah, listen, I don't know, I don't think felony murder may be in the case, but nevertheless, this was a cogent argument made that a defense attorney would make, so it's really shocking given his attitude with the court throughout. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back on the other end. Please stay with us.